Welcome to the Good Karma Sportfishing Podcast. I'm your host, Captain Ryan Van Fleet.
And welcome to the Crush It in Sales podcast and also the Good Karma Success Coach podcast as a bonus episode this week. I'm your host, Melinda Van Fleet. Well, May 2nd.
May 2nd, yep. It's hard to believe. It's actually, now it's pretty easy to believe that time goes by pretty quickly.
Did you have your parents tell you that when you were a kid, that the older you get, the faster time will go by?
Yeah.
I remember my dad telling me that.
Yeah, I never believed him because everything seemed to crawl.
Yeah, like summertime seemed to crawl. And yeah, my dad was right. So chalk one up for our parents.
Yep.
But I'm excited for this month. I have a very focused month on work, new opportunity that I'm now part of Southwestern Coaching and Consulting. And you've got a full schedule.
Yep, a full schedule. And I think I only have one day available this month. And I do. I've got one date available. Otherwise, I'm just looking at my schedule now. And then my June is filling up really quickly. I think I've a couple weekdays left each week, maybe one or two each week, but the weekends are already full. So
yeah, that's awesome. Yep. So we just say some prayers for the weather to hold out.
Yep. That's what it is. It's fishing.
That's it.
It's a fishing industry. There is no
weather.
Don't have expectations when it comes to weather and starting a business.
Segued perfectly.
Yep. Don't think that it's going to work out every day with the weather.
And that's what we're going to talk about on this podcast is expectations, because there are many forms of expectations, and we're probably just going to be able to crack the nut a little bit on this, but we're hoping that it spurs some dialogue. If you listen to this as a couple or even just internally, it makes you start to think about your expectations of yourself, of others, and also too, like understanding what someone else's expectations may be of you. And yeah, there's a lot packed into that.
Mm-hmm.
You have to deal with it all the time on the boat.
Yep, on the boat, off the boat, at home.
Yeah, at home? What?
Yeah.
You mean Miracle expects a car ride every morning?
So I have my little Shih Tzu. Now she expects a car ride every day because I gave her a couple car rides. It's kind of like having one of those days. It's kind of like fishing where you crush it a couple days and then everybody thinks it's going to be like that.
Yeah, that's so true.
So I've got a little dog that she thinks that she ought to go on a car ride. And yesterday afternoon, I was just really busy and we keep the offices separate. And granted, our dogs are like, how old are they now? They're
11 and 10?
11 and 10 years old. And they're in very good health. And the little one, she's been wanting to go for these car rides, and she came back here in the back room, and we never let them back. She came back, and she went to the bathroom on the floor by my foot because she was angry that she didn't get to go for a car ride.
She sent a very clear signal about her expectations.
Right. It's kind of like, it's like fishing.
I've had to really work on expectations from a vantage point of making sure that my high expectations of myself, so the expectations I have of myself, I'll reframe that sentence a little bit, don't rub off on other people. And do I get it right all the time? Absolutely not. I think it's just how I'm wired as a high performer that it also comes out onto other people. And it's definitely been a challenge that I've had to work on over the years because it can end up really hurting relationships and I don't mean it to. So it was something that bubbled up a lot in my corporate experience as a buyer and leading teams. And it would pop up on reviews all the time. And how it would pop up was in terms of, you're really great at your job. Your sales numbers are really, really good. We love you, but half your team loves you and half your team hates you. And I never could figure out like what was going on. And unfortunately, in the corporate world, sometimes there's corporations that deal with it from a passive aggressive standpoint, and you're always kind of in trouble and going down to HR, but they don't really crack the nut on what's happening, like really what's going on underneath the surface, and understanding too that all people are different. So I had moved to a different company, Shop NBC, and I got really, really fortunate at that company that when it bubbled up again, the head of HR, Brian, he sat down with my boss at the time and said, you know what, we need to hire a private coach for her so we can get to the bottom of what's going on and solve the situation, because she's a high performer. So, but half her team hates her. And they did. They hired a private coach for me. His name was Peter Briggs. He's a super nice guy. I had never had a private coach before. I had had a speaking coach when I was a merchant for Victoria's Secret, but I'd never had a coach. And he came in and we met, for months, maybe like 6 months. And what he did was he did a deep dive confidentially with everyone on my team and everyone that I worked with as like supporting roles. And he came back with the results, and it was still the same in terms of like half the people love you and half the people hate you. And then we started to dive into it. And what was happening was my expectations were coming off on other people, and it was just not coming off in the right way, because not everyone wants to be CEO. And at that stage of my life, I thought everyone wanted to be CEO. So I had no idea like what I was doing, and it was causing a lot of harm and damage. So I remember at the time too, he had me read a book on emotional intelligence, which also helped shed some light onto the challenges I was having. And it was painful. It was a very, very painful part of my career and my life. And it's actually when I met Ryan, and he had to deal with a lot of it too. And, I wrote about this in Confidence Mastery for Couples, when he looked at me straight up and said, if you don't stop acting like your mother, I'm leaving you. And all of those things coming together really built awareness around expectations and how you can start to manage them within your own sphere of people and how you communicate on a daily basis. And it's a lot of work. It's work that still goes on, but it's an aspect that a lot of people don't realize may be happening to them in their lives.
Yes. No, I had a lot of work, more work than what I even care to even talk about.
Could be many podcasts.
Many podcasts.
And all of this could be many podcasts.
Many
It's not
podcasts.
just him,
Many
like-
podcasts. Many podcasts.
But these are things people, number one, don't talk about because they may feel shame or embarrassment or fear around it. Or, it's going on in their head and they don't know who to talk to about it, right?
Right.
And or they might not even, like me, like have like full-on awareness about it. And I think it's just a really, really important topic, because if you can't manage expectations, then you end up being disappointed. Right?
That's very correct.
So if you have high expectations of someone else,
Yep.
and they don't live up to your expectations, and I'm using air quotes, then you're disappointed.
Yep.
Right? And that can build up over time
Yep.
and lead you to not take action or have a poor relationship with someone that leads to various outcomes.
That's correct.
And if you keep getting beat down, and it's because of the expectations you're put on by other people, then that can cause lots of setbacks in your life too.
That's correct. Yeah. It's that is so true.
Yeah, and it causes you to not move forward.
Right. And it causes you to shut down and shut off.
Mm-hmm.
And I think that I see that a lot. So I can relate to that personally. Personally, I can.
Yeah.
So I've been in that spot. I've been in that spot last year. I just recently had an experience where I've done some things for some people and have helped them out, and I really don't. It's really kind of bizarre. I say, for example, I have helped some guys out, and with getting their sonars set up and getting things dialed in for them and helping them get better. and I was out there fishing, and I seen the guy, and he drove past me, and he marked a number I was fishing on. So, and that was somebody I helped out. That happened last winter. So it happened actually in March. So I told my client, I go, as he drove past me, I go, watch. And he hit the digit. So it wasn't an important number because I was wahoo fishing. So, but the point is that I didn't expect that from that person because I helped them elevate to another level. So that's I'm getting kind of wound up because I'm kind of emotional about it because I have helped a lot of guys and I've seen a lot of things turn on me and flip because what I've done for some people has really elevated them. But on the other turnaround of things is that I got stabbed, where I feel I've been stabbed. So my expectations were like really kind of like what you're saying is that I'm at a very high level in my mind and I work really hard, but it's kind of like goes back to the corporate days where I had different people under me that I elevated, and then they just kind of were like bizarre.
Yeah, things didn't turn out.
So I see the same in the fishing industry. So I've seen the same things going on. So hence why sometimes, I'm just like, hey,
Another example that is something you deal with, Ryan, that you've done an amazing job with. Let me circle back really quick. The other piece is just to work over time, like recognizing that that's a trigger and figuring out how to manage it is where the work is. And we'll get to that after I share this example. We'll talk about my bucket tool. But when you have people that expect a lot from you, that is also one of the things about expectations. So what I'm super proud of that you really set boundaries on over the years is people that call you up and they want to fill coolers full of fish. And we've talked about this before.
Oh, the cooler guys.
Coolers full of fish.
Oh my gosh.
So, Ryan has gotten really good at saying, that's not the type of charter I run. That's not his business model to fill coolers full of fish. If it happens, that's great. But that's not Ryan's business model. His perfect ideal client that is in energetic alignment with him is someone who wants to have fun, enjoy the day, let the captain be the captain, and learn a little bit, and then catch something for dinner. That is our client. That's our target client. So when you get stronger and you set boundaries around people that have expectations of what you should be doing, and that's strength, that's confidence, that's building confidence over time, then your energy becomes aligned to those perfect clients and they find you.
Right.
And it works out. So that is definitely something that I know, and I, again, really commend you on, Ryan, for doing that over the years.
Yep.
And we've seen the proof. Like, it works. It actually freaking works.
It's so amazing, but I have a really good, strong, regular client base. And the guys that are catching tables full of fish that you see in my Instagram photos, those guys are very aware of the amount of fish that they're catching. And they are taking those fish home and they are cleaning them themselves.
That's great.
They're cleaning the fish themselves.
So that's been part of the process too.
That's been part of the process. And if we're having a good day, and I set the expectation, and then the guys take their fish and they clean them.
Yeah.
I am very manageable. I manage the fishery.
Because captains that won't even clean fish at all.
I know captains that charge. I know captains that charge for the fish, and
so you try to manage your expenses,
right?
And that's a piece of it,
right? Then they have our business model. They have table time.
Yeah.
If you catch 20 yellowtail, they're back. They cut an hour off your fishing time, and they go back and they use that as time to clean the fish.
Yeah.
I don't do that.
Mm-hmm.
So it's managed. And when we do go back, I set the boundaries as far as if somebody wants their fish cleaned a particular way, that's not the deal, man. I tell them what I can do with the time I have, and that's how it goes. If you want to clean a certain way, you can bring your own knife. So
yeah, that's just a great example for others to think about, where do you need to set boundaries in your business or your personal life to manage other people's expectations that you're not aligned with. It may not be your business model, like what we're talking about here, or it may just not be something you personally want to do. Like you don't feel good about it. You're like, no. And that's okay. Like all of these things are okay because when your energy is in alignment, that's when the right things happen for you. That's when the right people are put into your path or the right opportunities appear. So remember that. Like there's no award at the end of the day for being a people pleaser. There's really not.
no.
Because when you're being a people pleaser and you don't feel good about that, then you're out of alignment. Like it's just a simple law of the universe. So It's really, really important.
Yep.
So I want to circle back to number 2, the second story Ryan shared about people and on the water and expectations. And this is something that I've talked about before, which is the bucket tool. And it's a really simple way to categorize things in your brain so you can take the pressure off and move forward. And it's really, really simple. I've written about it over the years. I've podcasted about it, so you've probably heard it before. But with any good coach, repetition is super important because we learn by repetition. So the bucket tool is as simple as this. When you have a situation going on, such as what Ryan used as an example, number 1, is it something that you should just let go? Like you're like, you know what? I should just let this go. Maybe there's some inner work to do. So Ryan, for example, was sharing like current examples, but it triggers him to his past corporate life, right? So that, as some coaches would say, is shadow work. So you have to work on like going, okay, like it's bringing me backwards, maybe bringing me back to my childhood, which is super common. Everyone remember there's things rooted in your brain from childhood. But is it something you should just let go? Be like, you know what? I need to be at peace with this. I need to do the work and I need to let it go. Number 2 is where it's kind of like a mid-range and you may need to have a conversation with someone. So you may like this person, but they're like totally taking advantage of you, but you like them. So you need to have a conversation because just like I said earlier, we don't talk about the things going on in our brains. We also are not great communicators. It is very rare if someone's a really great communicator. So you have to have a conversation. Go out to lunch, call on the phone, do something. Texting is not a good conversation. Emails are not a good conversation. You need to have a conversation with your mouth. So have the conversation and try to work it out and come to some type of peaceful agreement or resolution. And number 3 is always the worst case, which is, and sometimes it's not even like the worst case. So that's not even the best mindset, I'm going to say. I'm going to call myself out on that. But it's most drastic action, let's put it that way, where you have to say goodbye. Like you have to cut ties with the person. And that's okay too. Like I have cut ties when I was a sales rep. I cut ties with stores if they mistreated me, and it never, ever, ever came back to haunt me, was a bad idea, nothing. It was always good. It worked out in my favor. So the universe tests us all the time. We're always being tested. And sometimes there's a negative situation that's put in your path that's meant to be a test. It's meant to make you stronger. Can you handle the disappointment? Can you handle the challenge? Can you handle the trigger and work through it so you can get stronger on the other side? And sometimes that means letting people go. That is okay. Letting people go. It's a strength. It's a confidence builder. And seriously, I can't think of one single person in my life that I have let go and regretted. I really can't. So good people always show up like more prominently in bigger numbers as I let go of the people that aren't an energetic in alignment or have high expectations or other things, let's say. So 3 buckets. And if you do the mental work, sit quietly and think about it, like it will alleviate so much pressure and you'll be able to move forward in a peaceful decision and be happier.
Yeah,
that's all we want, right? We all want to be the happiest.
Yep.
Happiness and freedom. I think those are like things that people desire in their lives.
Yep. Happiness and freedom. That's always I wake up every morning thinking about that.
Mm-hmm. And freedom is happiness. They go hand in hand.
Yep, they go hand in hand.
So.
Yep. That's what I want to spend time with people that are good people. And that's, and it's like anything else, surround yourself with good folks and.
Yep. And then sometimes, and this goes with bucket number 3, sometimes, and I'm going to call this out, people don't wake up and they go, I'm a bad person. So sometimes like, the bad people, they don't know they're bad people. Like, and bad's kind of a very gray word to use, but you can say it like jokingly. Like, so you just gotta, you know what? I'm moving on.
Yeah,
I'm moving on and I'm good with that. Yeah. And the people that are more energetically aligned, that'll work out in my favor.
Right. If the vibe isn't there, if I'm with me, then I just move on. Mm-hmm. I move on quickly.
Yeah, move on quickly.
Yeah, I don't even try. I just move on.
And there's nothing wrong about that. Absolutely nothing wrong about that. The world is huge. 7.9 billion people. Like, come on.
Yep.
It's a really big world. Like, everyone will survive. Yep. It will be fine. Those people will find people that are better energetic matches, and you will find people that are better energetic matches.
Yep, exactly.
That's just how it works.
That's how it works.
I mean, you break up with someone when you break up with someone, right?
Yep, exactly.
So it's the same premise.
Same premise.
You move on.
You move on, and I'm okay with moving on.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
So.
Yep. So we packed a lot into this podcast here.
Yeah.
Anything else you want to add?
No, I really don't have anything to add this morning. I'm working on a new blog. I'm excited. I'm excited. I'm really excited about the blogging.
You're crushing your blogs.
It's really good, and the content's really good, and I'm trying to give people some really good information to help them out.
Yeah. And the blog is also on the app. So if you're on the app, there's you can access the blog through the app, and then you can also access the blog obviously through the website.
Yep.
So and Ryan's been announcing it more. Oh, and it's also in Instagram in his, what do we have? Bio FM. We don't have Linktree. We have
it's in the Bio FM on the Instagram.
On the link. So you can access the blog that way too. If you follow Ryan on Instagram, you can go into his bio, click the link, and it should pop up there too. So
I think back to last year at this time, and I was before we wrap it up, and there were a lot of things that were going on in my life last year when I had a lot of things going on in the water and all that stuff, and a lot of bad people that were in my life. And I've cleansed a lot of that stuff. I cleansed it, and I figured out different ways to do things. And then I was ready to start moving forward with the blog. So I needed to be in alignment with my inner self as far as what type of information I wanted to continue putting out to the public. Mm-hmm. So through the blog and the podcast, and from what we're talking about today, those were things that were going on at that time that I just didn't address and didn't work on, just for various reasons, because I didn't really know. Mm-hmm. So, and I've continually every day work on it, and Melinda has been is more than just she's a business partner, and she's my wife, and when I've just learned to ask for help. So as far as learning how to control different things in my life as far as being better. So I was using tools every day and practicing and all that other good stuff. So there's more to it, but I'm in a good alignment to put things out to people now, more so than I was last year at this time. Going into COVID and out of COVID and all the crazy shit that was happening to me out there, and the crazy Instagram messages that I would be getting. And so but I learned how to deal with all that stuff. So And every day I work on it.
Yeah. And I appreciate that, Ryan. And that's the message for everyone out there is every day it's work. It is work. It is work to work through these things, which is why people don't freaking do it because it's not easy.
No, it's not
but
easy.
People I always say you can copy everything about Ryan. Like we know what's going on. We're not stupid. And you can copy all that stuff, but what's going on in your brain? That is really the most important piece of everything. Yep. What's going on in your brain?
Yeah, what's happening in your brain?
What's going on? What are you trying to do? So when you work on all of that and do that inner work, that will bring you success. Whether you're listening to this as an angler or you're listening to this in my world, you're an entrepreneur or a salesperson. It's the inner work that you have to do for all the other things to work out for you. And that's why having a private coach is so important. And that's why I always share my story about Peter because, I'm so blessed and grateful that I had him as a coach when I was in my early 30s because it just brought awareness to things that I didn't even realize was going on, and I'm so grateful for that experience. So, yeah
that's it. And I caution one last thing. I caution guys against. There's a lot of competitiveness in this world of fishing.
Oh, it's the most competitive thing.
It's the most competitive thing ever. It's it's gotten really kind of out of control in my opinion, and I just don't get it. To be honest with you guys, I just don't get this whole.
Well, I've said forever. Thing. Is because anyone can fish.
Yeah, anyone can fish.
You can be tall, short, male, female, any demographic, nationality. You can be fat, you can be skinny. There's no boundaries.
Yeah, there's no boundaries.
It just opens up anyone can do it, which is fantastic, but then that just breeds a whole other level.
It breeds a whole other level where
competitiveness
of somebody that
and money
that wasn't that gets thrown into the sport and they don't really understand what competitive nature is, so it's used in the wrong ways.
Yeah.
So because they don't have that background, so they get tossed into this world of fishing, and then they see somebody that's having a lot of success, and then I see it a lot, and I see it with recreational guys. Which, God, I wish someday recreational fishing is the best thing in the world. I went recreational fishing for the first time. And you know what? I did not give a shit what I caught.
What did you catch? Some bonitos?
I caught some bonitos. And it was the best day I've had. Where I was able to go out there and troll around and have a good time instead of worrying about, oh my God, what am I going to catch today? I need to get that Instagram post. And you know what? It was a freaking awesome time. Awesome. And if you're a recreational fisherman and you got something going on in your brain with competitive nature,
seriously,
you got to wake up and look at yourself, man. Yeah. You really do, because
just have fun.
Have a good time. If you bought yourself a new boat, learn how to run it properly.
Yeah.
I mean, don't be running it up and there's so much that you can learn. And when you're getting all weird out there, and I see it at the dock, man. It's oh my God, what's going on with these people?
And if you don't think that we see that you're just a triggered mess, you're kidding yourself, people. Seriously.
It's crazy.
Seriously, so, do the inner work.
Do the inner work. Take a moment and just realize, what are you trying to accomplish? I mean, seriously. So... I just don't get it.
Yeah.
Somebody asked me about why do you fish for muttons all the time? I go, because that's what's biting.
They taste damn good.
And they taste good. I catch a whole bunch of other shit. I had some guys that came out with me the other day, and they were just having fun catching I go, yeah, we'll try, but sometimes they're here and sometimes they're not. Well, there's other fish,
a hook goes in the water.
A hook goes in the water.
Let's keep it simple.
Oh my God.
A hook goes in the water. Yes, we try to target, but if a mutton gets on the hook. That's amazing.
Yep,
They taste great. Thank you, God.
Oh my God. Then we found a whole bunch of muttons, and that's great. We catch a whole bunch of those. But there's other days where there's a whole bunch of other fish there that we catch too.
Mm-hmm.
So it's like, hey,
They didn't get the memo.
Yeah.
The salmon didn't get the memo.
Yeah. And don't get all angry and aggressive that, oh my God, I got to reel in another amberjack. Oh my God, my world's coming to an end.
Grateful.
Be grateful it's a fish.
Gratitude.
I go, it's awesome.
What is going on?
I mean, yeah, sometimes those amberjacks piss you off, but in the end,
I gotta get going.
Something's biting.
All right, we got to end this podcast. I've got a client call.
All good. Thank you guys for tuning in.
Thank you. Follow us, me, Facebook, LinkedIn, Twitter, or Instagram, and reach out to me for private one-on-one coaching. Just use my personal email, melinda@melindavanfleet.com.
Yep, and you can email me at goodkarmaryan@gmail.com, and then follow me on Instagram, goodkarmasportfishing_FL_keys.
All right, have a great May.
Yep.
Thanks for listening.
Thanks, guys. All good.